We want that's the follow up. The follow up is to run away from the consumership unconsciously.
Okay, so you almost prefer the mistake.
Absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Because it's like you want to correct someone so bad, but it's like, but also it's almost like, nah, let's get into it, and that's a point of conversation.
Absolutely, and that's where that came in. The running man, jump man.
Okay.
Breaking free.
There is something, as you say, break free, something about the break in between the physical chain and the painted chain, right? You could have painted the remainder of the chain, right, to go through the frame,
Yeah.
right, to where it almost makes the idea of connecting with that physical chain, but it's almost, you say it is broken.
Yeah.
It is broken and just ready to run.
Absolutely.
Right? You now have that chance to run once you break that chain. How powerful? How powerful?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this then.
Let's get it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Runway Slaves Artist Talk. I'm here with Courtney Yards Haywood, the artist behind Runway Slaves, a solo exhibition of art. I'm Chase McCurdy, the founder here at 33G. Your people, as we like to say. Tonight we are here to talk to Yards, to speak with Yards about the Runway Slaves exhibition, to speak about your practice in general, to know more about you as an artist, as a person. We're going to have a little conversation ourselves, and we'll open it up to everyone else here, who has a few questions. But I want to give you a chance, prior to my introduction, to introduce yourself to our viewers, listeners, followers, etc., and let them know who you are.
Okay. I'm Courtney Yards Haywood. I'm a Las Vegas native, born and raised in Las Vegas. My family is from Louisiana, Mississippi, by way of the South. We all come from that area. That's like our diaspora.
Come on.
I'm an artist. I've been an artist for a long time, exploring the journey of being an artist and living life. I've been privileged to do a lot of work for the city, different projects coming along the way. I was in Men of Tomorrow, FIT. Started doing T-shirts and clothing in Vegas. Started off as me doing it for myself, just wanting to stand out. Wanted to have something different, express myself, through fashion. And my peers start asking, where you get that from? Who's that? What designer is that? And I'm like, it's me. I just do it myself. And eventually, it turned into a hustle where I would wear it. People would ask me how much. I started putting a price on it, selling it to them. I think I was doing like $20 T-shirts and the bleached jeans. And I would match it with whatever Jordans or whatever shoes came out. And that's how I bought my Jordans and my shoes. It's clothes for other people. So it just blossomed until I was actually talking to someone, and I was telling them how as a kid, people tell you when you're doing art and you're painting stuff, and you come up, they tell you that's a hobby. Get a job, you could do art, but that's, you're not being black, you're not able to make a career.
Right, we hear it all the time.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, all the time.
So
yeah.
I dwelled on, I loved being challenged, and that was also my rebellious way of saying, I can make instead of me painting and drawing on paper, I'm gonna put this on a T-shirt.
Come on.
And then I'm gonna be able to sell it. I can make it, people love to wear T-shirts. They may not want to buy this piece of paper, but they love T-shirts. So I started painting on T-shirts, and I called it Woodworks. Because my last name is Haywood, and people will call me Wood. And so I just kind of, I love branding, so now that I look back, I was branding at a young age.
Can I jump in? Because this is a
Absolutely.
perfect place. Because
Absolutely.
it's amazing. Because I love when I asked in this way to introduce yourself. It gets into that story, right? That origin story. And I was hoping it went there, even in my little introduction notes. You know, so many of these things that you spoke to or mentioned, because that's when we first met.
Absolutely.
Right? I was a proud owner of a woodwork shirt when I was at MFI. I had the forces done. I'll never forget that Black College tour to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
We was so fly. We was bumping that Wayne. What was that? The first dedication mixtape.
Dedication.
No, that was that. It's one of those things that stick out in my mind. It's amazing to come full circle even now for us. I remember as I was coming back home in the space, getting 33G happening, my cousin William was always saying, man, you and yours gotta connect. You gotta connect. I'm telling you. And he was saying this for like a year, and then it happened. And just like that, it was game on.
Absolutely.
But to speak to that introduction, right? You touched on that space of self-taught, of creating yourself. But not always, but for a lot of it being this thread of entrepreneurship along with it. And when I think of you and know you, I'm very inspired by this relationship that you're able to make with the creativity and the art, your expression, right? Runway Slaves, as you see it, really speaks to something deep and powerful, something real. But at the same time, it's also fly, you know? And it's beautiful to see that come to fruition. And one of the other introductory notes, you know, Sweet Taste of Success.
Absolutely.
Haywood Ranch.
Absolutely.
You know, even Religious, an art show that is a brand in itself. Having done self-funded, self-created tours of art. Just that business of things is just so impressive. And I just want to, you know, give kudos to that in that way. And I want to shout out murals not only on Jackson Changes Coming, a Bodo Collective on CM Monroe. You and Mario Minks did the mural over at the West Las Vegas Art Center. We got to work on the mural at Matt Kelly together. So just so much love in that way. So getting, you know, straight to Runway Slave. Actually, first off, how did you go about being self-taught? Right, so I'm sure you just started painting and just like, I could do it, whatever, I'm just gonna figure it out. But was there ever a point as a self-taught artist, a proudly self-taught artist, that you did like self-directed learning? You know, did you kind of seek certain, like what did you seek to learn to be a better artist? Was it looking up things about how to work with paint and brush? Was it looking up, you know, like some Bob Ross type shit? Like what, you know, or was it just, I'm just doing this and we just figuring it out as we go?
I think my initial, I had different moments. I had a moment in fourth grade where I had a black art teacher named Miss Vaughn, and you know back in the day they bused us to like, it was out by McCurdy Airport, and I was living here on the west side, and it was better teachers. You know, you learn better things. So they were working on ceramics and things like that, and
access to resources.
Absolutely. So I was one of those people where I had to just kind of show out, but being challenged. So I did my vase and stuff, and everybody, oh, that's impressive for a fourth grader. So then my teacher gave me some pastels for the first time, and then she introduced me to Van Gogh. Okay. So I duplicated a Van Gogh painting with pastel, and she was blown away, you know. And I'm, you know, when an adult is blown away with what you creating as a kid, it sparks something. So I fast forward from that, while I'm painting on T-shirts, I went to Atlanta, and the owner of the Velvet Room was like, hey, you did that on your shirt? I was like, yeah. He's like, how much you selling them for? I'm like, I'm selling them for $200 now. You know, and I'm thinking that's, you know, I'm doing big, you know? And he's like, how much to paint that on the wall? And it was like, that's when Shorty What You Drink came out, and it was a bar with different drinks on it. So he gave me $1,500 to paint it on the wall, and I'm like, and we had this conversation about art, and he was like, hey, the stuff you're doing on the t-shirt, you can do that on canvas and get 10 times what you're getting for a shirt. And I carried that. I didn't right away do it, but I carried that, and I started going to art museums. I started traveling and seeing these different art museums, and I'm like, and I started studying artists, different artists, and, I started going to black artists, and that was shocking because I'm like, people told me in the black community that's a hobby,
Come on.
And they kind of like shun a black kid doing art, they kind of say, oh, you're acting white, or, you know what I mean?
No,
so it kind of like sparked something in me. I'm like, this resonates to me so much. I need to do this. So I just explored. It's almost like a guitar player that can play by ear.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was. I seen certain art and got inspired, and I'm like, let me experiment, and that's what I think art is really an experiment. Every time you do a painting or anything, you don't really know how it's gonna come out. It's just the spirit that moves you in a direction where you're supposed to be creating this thing, and then you get a finished product. So that's kind of where my journey of exploration came from,
Okay, come on. So now bringing it back to Runway Slaves in this present moment, I have some background, right? We've had plenty of conversations, so I know a little bit about this idea. But please tell us, how long have you been, one, thinking about Runway Slaves? And how long have you been working on Runway Slaves? All told, right? Including those pieces, that you've shared with me going years back.
Runway Slave started when I did the religious art show at Vegas Roots.
Shout out Vegas Roots. If you know, you know.
Yeah. Me and Tamika, who now at Obodo Collective, which we love and we work with, she's like, you need to do something here. We need to do something. And just giving the blank canvas and the space, I'm like, I want to do something big, so put together an outside installation with cotton. And I was actually in Arizona, and I was going to this club that is, predominantly white. And I was dressed in some Jordan 1s.
Scottsdale?
Yeah, in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
So I'm dressed, sleek pants, collar shirt, Jordan 1s on, and I'm
Clean.
walking up to go in, I got a little money, prepared, from Vegas, so I know,
ready?
VIP bottle service, so I'm walking up, and the guy stops me. He says, "We can't let you in. You're not in dress code." I'm like, "Not in dress code?" Mind you, I'm watching, these white boys walk in with shorts on, Chucks, tank tops. I'm like, what's the dress code? Is it like a pool party or something? Like maybe I'm overdressed, So he points to a sign, and the sign said, "No sportswear, no Jordans, no foam posits, no do-rags."
Foam posits?
Specifically
foam posits is crazy.
No do-rags, no baggy pants. And I looked at it, and everything on there is hip-hop culture, is our culture,
Mm-hmm.
So it inspired me to come back. I was like, I'm all right. I was like, it's okay. And one of the guys, he knew me. And he was like, this come in, And at that time, I didn't want to come in, And he's like, he's a big artist. He does like a lot of art for, Floyd Mayweather, So now the guy is like, he's kind of trying to clean it up and making an excuse about it, Yeah. And I just lost taste, so I left. We went to another club.
Good for you.
Talked.
Come on.
But I came back and I made a piece for the show at Vegas Roots, and it was I took a window and I put a sign in the window that says white only. I duplicated a sign that was back in the 60s. And I took a picture of that poster that said no do-rags, no foam posits, no Jordans, and I put it side by side, and it said whites only on the sign. And I seen the same thing. I seen the correlation of the same things. Like, but the ironic thing is, the clothing that the people had in there was hip hop culture clothes.
Right.
So it just kind of resonated with me. So bringing it back to Runway Slaves, I didn't really get to dive in deep into the actual meaning behind it and what it meant to me. And it was something I battled with me creating brands. I've created brands, and I know how much it costs to make certain clothing. And what it costs to make a Louis Vuitton bag or Chanel bag or whatever is minimum, is 200% markup to what we buy for retail. So it's just like, to me, it's like, I couldn't really fathom why it would be marked up so high. And if you got a company, you able to do what you do. Whoever buying it should be buying it consciously. So to me, it's just, I looked at it as, hey, in my culture, most of us can't even afford this, but we have allowed it to try to make up for our insecurities or try to make up for our value. We started letting designer clothes dictate our value, and then even trickled down into almost a sense of self-hate. And we started hating the people who don't have it. Started looking down on the people who may buy some land instead of having Gucci on all the time and different things. And it blurred our lines, and it actually makes us go back as a culture, because the type of money that we spend on those brands, which those brands don't have initiatives that give back to our community, which we should be conscious of what we spend our money on in that way, spending with people who have the initiative. Hey, this is the people who are making my brand successful. I need to give back to these people,
Right.
And that's people who have brands that actually care,
Yeah.
So
that represents something.
Absolutely. So I just identified, I did a play on runaway slave and runway slave, because the fact that we are the people who make this designer stuff popular in other cultures. How we wear stuff. We may take a Gucci hat, turn it sideways, and that, by us just being us, the spirit we have as black people, taking something and making more out of it, we actually are selling for these people who, in return, is like, they know who their customer is. They know that these people, that us black people are making this thing happen for them, They know that they don't have to give us nothing back. They understand all of those things. And like the Gucci shirt, when 50 Cent had did when Gucci did the blackface hoodie where they put the blackface on it, everybody protested. It was outrage for a little bit, and that was his protest. Is he took all his Gucci clothes and burnt it.
Yeah.
And that was his protest, which is powerful.
Yeah. Shout out to you also, like a little piece for the show. On the title card, next to that piece, the 7X Custom Pro Club, Painted Pro Club, which I love, right? The burnt Gucci tee piece. It's on a Pro Club, an oversized Pro Club. It calls back to your painting roots on a t-shirt.
Absolutely.
It goes back to woodwork. So like me seeing that when you brought it in the gallery, I was immediately hyped. But one thing I love about it, on the title card, you said, Chase, can we include the video? I want to add the video. So there's a QR code on the title card that if you scan it, it goes to that video of 50 burning a Gucci shirt. And there's so much beautiful added context, because even the burn marks, how you got it, like you really hit the spot, like even with the burn marks and how it go. What up, y'all? Welcome in. Oh, we see the tea. But you even captured the location of the burn marks in an interesting way. So just shout out to you. And let's talk about, actually, we're all artwork. Let's talk about some particular works in the show. Before I ask about a particular work I'm thinking about, are there any any pieces in the show that for you are particularly special or memorable or, somehow have a deeper connection, and why would that be?
And that's it's hard because each piece comes from like an experience and a thought, but the piece right here in the field was when we first talked about me doing the show here and everything. This piece was the first piece I created to, just to go into this collection, and it's just the actual hoodie that he's wearing is Denim Tears, which is the designer is Tremaine. He's a black fashion designer that has worked for a lot of iconic brands that's owned by white people.
Yeah.
And he's made those brands powerful. So this is his first collection, and he uses those things on there are cotton reefs.
Yeah.
Which he was inspired by an artist named Kara Walker.
Yeah.
Which is definitely one of my favorites. And I kind of put him and her in this piece.
Right.
Because she's iconic for her silhouettes.
Yeah.
And instead of me painting his skin on there, I actually used the silhouette
along with
the cotton. And he has a bouquet of cotton in his hands. As like, when we talk about giving people their flowers.
Yeah, come on.
And instead he has a bouquet of cotton. And that cotton reef, Tremaine says, it symbolized the black experience, the circle of how we go through so much oppression, but we come out on top. We still survive, we still thrive and survive in that constant circle. But even to me, I feel like that circle needs to break off and go to another round. So this piece right here was definitely a piece that I created and I just stared at. It sat in my gallery my studio for a long time, and then it just fed everything else. And there's so many pieces. The Freedom to Dream, just having young men just running through the cotton field. That our ancestors endured so much through cotton field, and it's cotton just unlocks so much in our culture because of that experience. But also, I connected the cotton with, we are known for looking good, dressing good. We have great black designers, and even speaking to these brands, because our culture is so contagious, and hip hop has reached the world. They have to hire us now because, it used to didn't have to have a black influence in, this high-end fashion, but we started creating streetwear, subculture that was selling for what Gucci and them selling. We were selling $500,000 tees. So they had to hire that black spirit because that is what everybody wanted. That's what the fashion industry started shifting to, and that's who is creating all of these things. Yeah. You got Virgil Abloh, Kanye, a pioneer, that intern at Marc Jacob and so many of these fashion houses, but still he wasn't able to. When he went in and showed them what he could do, he asked them for equity. He asked them for, hey, let me, I want to build my own thing, but give me the resources you all have so I can compete. And which is crazy to ask someone, but it's really not if I just made you, basically brought you back into this space. But as a culture, it's just like, it's an example. I feel like Kanye was that sacrificial lamb to let people know that you have to build your own.
Well, it's crazy because I almost giggled at this idea I wrote down, inviting competition. The idea that you see how valuable I am, thus you see that I'm competition, asking them to give you something to like nigga or excuse my language, I'm gonna bleep that out on the podcast. But are you wild? Right? Like what? And and this idea of building our own thing, but also even struggling between building our own thing, knowing that we got the juice, we got the spirit, wanting it to grow, but also wanting to keep it, pure.
Absolutely.
That's a place that you and I often talk about.
Absolutely.
Being almost too tight because it's almost too pure and too precious, and it doesn't reach where, at the same time, we have to reach out and touch. But just beautiful ideas coming up. Yeah, that idea of inviting your own competition, man. You better build something and try to just be able to protect it. Yeah, they're not gonna help you, bro. They're not gonna help you. But you touched on the work that I was gonna ask you about. This crowd favorite in the field. I'm happy you pointed out him holding the cotton reef. That's you could easily gloss over that detail in the painting, which is quite powerful. And not only the cotton reef, which calls back to Kara Walker, but also the silhouetting of the hands, right, of the figure itself. But for me, that freedom to dream and plug, we touched on this in Gallery Notes 5 on our YouTube channel. But freedom to dream is so powerful because it ties so many things together for me. Right, as we touched on that video, the David Hammond's African American flag. Amazing black artist, contemporary black artist, right? Great mind, great thinker, great spirit. For me, Marcus Garvey, his dedication to the RBG, with the contemporary space of the fashion, of the denim tears, with the locks, right? I love that we see the hooded figure here, and when the hood is off, it's a young lock figure that is so associated with the now infamous YNs of today. And then that blood, for me, that blood red, that blood soaked underneath the cotton field, and just all of that of our people.
Absolutely.
Just truly, for me, my favorite piece in the show. But to touch on the works, please, in a very culminating way that comes right after Freedom to Dream, would you mind reading for us, if you remember, or if you could read that far?
Absolutely.
The text,
Is my head
the
in the
quote.
No, you good.
From Mask Off.
And also, he has the ski mask on, too, so it kind of like flows into Mask Off.
Yes, sir.
And, a lot of our youth today, they call it the Pooh Shiesty mask, and it's really wearing a ski mask, a robber's mask, as fashion, which is wild. But it says, I love Malcolm X so much. He shows up in a lot of my work, and I chose the quote that said, America's greatest crime against the black man was not slavery or lynching, but that he was taught to wear a mask of self-hate and self-doubt. And that's how I view the ski mask. The ski mask, for you to put on a ski mask and rob your brother, and then to use it like as his fashion, and I put self-hate on the mask, and he has it off, is what it is. Like most of these kids is robbing other kids who having this fashion. And then one kid is losing his life, and the other kid is going to prison forever. So it's the self-hate and the self-doubt. You don't like to think that you have to be a robber to become, financial free is it's the self-doubt and the self-hate, and to rob your brother of it, it's just even more to be envious that your brother is looking fly or nice. You think he's looking fly, and the first thought in your mind is to go rob him is wild. And toxic, and something that needs to be dealt with and reversed as us as a culture.
Let me ask, because that's powerful and that brings it very much close to home. And once again, I think for me that is the culminating wall of the exhibition. It brings it together along, and I'm happy that you made that last choice. I was proud of my curation, bringing your work together and your
You're the master curator.
But you made that last minute call next to Mask Off to put the Pick Your Crown painting That was first debuted in our Black Kings exhibition
Absolutely.
last year, which I think culminates so well from taking off the mask of self-hate, self-doubt, and then choosing your crown of ascension. And that's a callback. Shout out to West Las Vegas Art Center
Yes, sir.
and the Performing and Visual Arts Summer Camp. They had the play this year, and the idea was Crown of Ascension.
Oh, wow.
For that to tie together is absolutely beautiful. But let me ask you, bringing it back to home as we start to bring this thing in and get ready for a couple questions and then just vibe. What does it mean for you to exhibit in general in the 89106 in the West Side, and in particular, 33, with this show, not just showing here in general, but showing here with this exhibition? What does that mean for you?
It means it means everything. The number one thing is like I kind of touched on me traveling all over, seeing, visiting. The first thing I do is go to an art museum and an art gallery, and being a kid over here, we don't really have that luxury to have an art museum or art gallery in Las Vegas, period, or even in this area. To be able to have the opportunity to bring that type of quality work that I've seen in different places, and sculpture work, just the feel of being in a prestige gallery. I didn't want when you gave me the opportunity to come here and do this show, I wanted to dive deep. I wanted it to be deep and meaningful. I wanted, if one of these young men came in here and seen this, I wanted them to get that message and take it with them, because we are in an area where, this message is I'm speaking to. This is where that message even come from, growing up here. So being able to produce this work and put it here, I wanted to come with that museum type quality for the kids who aren't privileged enough to travel and see art galleries like I was. They can walk right across the street and walk in here and stumble on this, and it may spark something like it did for me.
Come on.
They may discover that they are artists. They may discover their artistic ability in other ways. As a fashion designer, or whatever the case may be, I wanted to be intentional and not take light of this opportunity and just give it all I have.
Oh man, come on, that's my dog. Hey,
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my brother, truly. And I can say we have some young men, especially in here, who have seen and experienced and responded in that way that you would have liked to. Oh well, come on in, family. So with that, let's take an opportunity. I think that's a beautiful closing space for me and our thoughts. If anybody here, and we appreciate everybody here, has any thoughts, questions, or just observations they want to share with our brother, please. It's a great time.
I noticed that it kind of looks like the flag has green at the top.
Mhm.
Maybe I missed what that was about.
Yeah.
Does that have a meaning?
Well, it kind of I kind of was duplicating the Pan-African flag that was created, and like he speaks to, I wanted to understand what freedom is for us. We are Americans, but also we're African Americans, so we still have this underlying what freedom means to us. So I wanted to just include that in that work right there, particularly as just expressing, our freedom to dream, and meaning that, our equity is in what we create. Like the thing about us, particularly as Black people, we've always been given nothing and created something. The best things is just happen to be, when it comes to capitalism, they was able to take what we created and benefit off of it, versus us taking what we create and benefiting off of it in the highest way. We may get crumbs and we may get thrown the satisfaction to keep us creating, but truth be told, that could be liberating to be able to get what we deserve from what we create. And I think that's just having the freedom to dream and and executing in the way that we need to. I think that's the next step.
You know, I think a lot about. Welcome in, y'all. Come on in. There's a couple more seats over in the little spot. Yeah. No, it's a powerful piece in that way, and sharing that.
I also want to speak to the piece before we go. The piece with the cotton, the hand picking the cotton,
Yeah.
and the hand actually turning over the tag.
Label, yeah, I was wondering about that.
Popping tags, picking.
Yeah. So back in the day, there used to be this song called "We Poppin' Tags," and they called popping tags like you shopping, cause that's what you used to do, you know, like, and it was like this prestige thing, like, hey, he popping tags, he got all the new designer, and you know, popping the tag off and just putting it on.
No.
So I had this idea in my mind that really we wasn't popping tags, we was picking cotton, you know? Like that wasn't nothing like dope. It wasn't nothing to glamorize, you know? We actually was taking our hard-earned money, or however you earned the money, you were taking it and giving it back to people who, like I say, they don't give back to your community. They really, you know, it was once where they didn't even want you wearing it, you know? Because hip-hop culture wasn't popular then. They didn't want you wearing, because they felt like you were wearing it wrong. You was degrading it.
They thought you was bringing it down.
Yeah, they thought you was bringing the value down when they really didn't understand what you were really doing. Just like hip hop, you know, they said hip hop was a fad, you know, for bad kids, you know. And guess who's the top execs who benefit the most off of it, you know? Like it's like, if that's not an example of what we create, you know, what we possess inside of us when we create, then I don't know what is, you know. So that I love that piece because it's. I always say I got galleries on galleries of paintings in my head that haven't came out. That piece been in my head for so long, and I said I gotta have it for this show. It gotta come out. So, yeah.
Okay, come on. No, that's beautiful added context. That's beautiful added context.
Yeah, I was curious. That was gonna be my question.
Okay, come on. Anybody else have one?
I got a question.
Yeah,
What was your creative thought or inspiration behind the picture right here with the red bottoms and the cotton field?
That one right there has a lot of different meanings, and it's still a play off of this. You know, I didn't want to just only add the male aspect of it. I want to add the female aspect because, you know, females shop, you know, like we, you know, and it goes back to the validation, you know, like in beauty products, all of these things, you know, females can be more, you know, in our society. They can be pressured to need to have these things that plays on their insecurity. That's part of like the marketing, you know, for them to have it is, hey, if you don't have no red bottoms on, you're not this and you're not that. And from what I heard, red bottoms ain't even the comfortable shoe to even have, you know? So it kind of also plays on the being in the cotton field, like as the blood, you know, that has been endured in the cotton field. Also, we was talking about the scar on the knee. The scar on the knee is actually picking cotton. Cotton is a coarse and a hard plant to pick because it has spikes in different. To pull it off, it can cut your hand. A lot of our ancestors, you know, was bleeding picking cotton. So and also to play on the guy lacing her shoes because a lot of time the pressure is hey, you want to be with me, you need to buy me these things, you know? So now the man is basically, you know, and it goes back to the picking of cotton, is like he's slaving to make her happy because this is what he's been told, this is what he's supposed to do for this woman. He has to buy her these designer things she needs to have these things for him to feel like a man, for him to even be a man. If you can't provide these things for me, you're not a man, and you're not the man for me, you know? So that kind of plays into also, and I just wanted to include that in with this show, the female aspect of it.
No, I appreciate that. Being new to the art world, and thank you, Chase, for letting me be a part of this. Just trying to understand art and the artist's mind. I was able to capture some of that or come up with some of that, but thank you for painting a bigger picture for me.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I
No
appreciate
pun
you for being
intended.
appreciate you for being a collector.
You should hear his perspective because when we were looking at it, I took it as I was a white female.
Oh.
And he had a whole explanation of why that person might be a white female.
And I love to hear. I think that's the dopest thing about being an artist and having an exhibition and show, because you may have one way of creating a piece, and then because it's really for the people who's looking at the perspective. I like a lot of times not even giving my perspective on it and hearing someone else's perspective, but I definitely give you the flow to let me know.
I love how she don't put me on the spot. See, I thought it was a woman of color. She like, no, it was white. Okay, maybe it makes even more sense. I was like, I did catch the red bottoms, the blood, the soil of the cotton field from our ancestors. So then she painted that, it may be a white woman, putting in a whole different perspective. You know, the white lady benefiting off the slave labor of our ancestors to afford the red bottoms.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
Sheesh.
Ooh.
So
Man.
that's like a mic drop.
So again, thank you, Shay, for again just coming into this art world, just trying to understand what the artist is trying to depict. So now.
And I want to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
I definitely want to piggyback on that because as I was creating this show, and when I do paint, my process is to do research, to dive in. So I did research on cotton itself, and it talked about in the South how many millionaires that was made during that era of cotton in the world. I was, and I'm like, in the world? And they was like, yeah, because the South Mississippi in particular was like a perfect place to grow cotton. And the Mississippi River was easy to transport it. So it was like the perfect place, and it was talking about how many families, white families, and then to even think that to have a business where everybody worked free,
It's all profit.
everybody worked free.
They're paying for them.
Yeah, and then you can duplicate your employees at will. And then
More.
Yeah.
if you get in any trouble, you can sell your employees to other people and make some more. So to really think of that concept is like, and a lot, and you know, we talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. It's like we are behind so far. Like we ain't never had if we ever had a moment to where we could get paid for all of that money that our ancestors endured, it'd never be enough. But to get some would be insane. And the idea of them even paying that back is like it might bankrupt the country. You know, it might not
Ain't
be
no
a
might
good
about
idea.
It never happened, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah, ain't no might about it.
So I thank you for that too, because I was doing this like they called it king cotton, and I was like, man, cotton was so important back then to those people and those families, and they was ruthless about it.
You understand, if you look at how much cotton you had to pick to even reach a pound of cotton, a lot of blood and sweat went into it. So again, all these pieces are wonderful, deep, but yeah,
I
great job.
appreciate it. And then even going into that, we talk about all the inventions that was made during that time and who got the credit for it. And I used to always say a joke like, a black man created the cotton gin because he had to think of a way where he had to pick no cotton.
We're gonna make this shit
He's
easy.
like, hold on,
somehow.
we need to come up with something. Just give me some time. Let me think. But yeah, man.
Oh, no, that's powerful, beautiful. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question. I have a couple of questions, but let's start with, when you say that this exhibition is critiquing anything, and if it is, what is the What's the
Well,
message?
I think it's really just critiquing, you know, something I've been a part of, and something because of this exhibition I've made a pledge that I don't want to buy any, you know, designer brands anymore. You know, I definitely want to, you know, research and buy black, you know, or even wear my own brand that I have. So, and it's just pretty much I just want to send a message that if we really use common sense on consumership as a black person, I'm not speaking for white people or any other race, but in particular black people, us already being behind financially to be able to be more conscious, whether it be if somebody has a clothing brand that they're, you know, coming out with and we really like it, me being a designer to where it's hard to keep coming out with collections no matter how successful it is, it's really hard because you almost have to be ahead of time to really be able to keep up with it, you know, and then just, you know, inventory, different things that that makes you successful as a black designer. We just not privileged to certain circles. We're not privileged to certain information that can make you successful as a black designer. So me being intentional and supporting them as much as I can, giving them the resources, we can actually create these mega brands. You know, even creating a fashion house is ideal, being given the resources that we have and the amount of money that we actually spend on designer brands. People can really be crowdfunding, you know, putting the money together to create, to own, help, you know what I mean, have equity in, you know, somebody else's talent and gift, you know, and I always say our equity is in what we create, you know, is in our spirit. That's why the equity is in. If we be intentional on what we're doing, we can really just do so much of undoing of what's been done through that.
Yeah, and a second question, this is more so speaking of your approach to, I guess, curating art, creating art in this social media based culture, which some people call demonic because it creates this environment of creative theft. How do you respectfully approach incorporating other people's artistry into your work?
It's hard because it's real hard. I actually created, the first piece I created for religious was a black guy in a field with 2 Louis bags full of cotton. And I seen it on some t-shirts. You know, people send me like, hey, somebody doing a t-shirt. And I'm expecting like, hey, you know, might be a white guy or something like that. I'm like riled up, you know, and it was a black guy, you know. And at first I'm finna reach out to him and tell him, man, this is my stuff. I want, you know, and I actually reached out to him and told him, you know, it's my thing, you know, and maybe we could work something out, but also like keep doing your thing, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I felt this empathy of like, hey, you know, he may be feeding his family off this, you know, and truth be told, once you put it on the internet, it's like, you know, you kind of giving consent for anybody, anywhere to, you know, and this happened to me multiple times. I know somebody that made $500,000 off of a art piece before I got to him and got anything off of it, you know? So like, it's risky, but also I feel like me being able to, you know, be inspired by his clothing brand and incorporating that, and not knowing how he's gonna respond and react to it. But I try to, you know, be pure about my message to where if anybody feel any type of way, we can have a conversation about it, you know, and also even too, like I wanted to speak to the Nipsey, the Crenshaw, original Crenshaw T-shirt is, you know, I put that into it because, you know, that's the T-shirt Nipsey created where he was selling at the Slauson Swap meet. You know, everybody was buying and just showing the you know, the entrepreneur and natural hustler spirit that can come out of this, you know, out of this thing that this us being in a space where we don't where we put in a position to where we got to hustle out of it, you know, and I have to put that in there because I did the same thing with Woodworks. You know, I was in my house on the west side with art supplies and a pro club from the swap meet and painting on it and outside selling, you know, selling these shirts to people. So and I'm not connected to Nipsey, but we share that same, you know, we share that same spirit. So, but definitely when it comes to putting it on social media, you're risking it, you know, anybody else risking it, and you just have to be conscious of it.
So, but what is your approach as an artist to make sure you're, I don't know what to call it, but let's say you use a similar style as the female artist, I forgot her name, in your work. How are you going about that in a way to make sure that what you're doing isn't exploitative or you're just ripping her off? Is there a way that you approach that? Because would you say you're a pop artist?
I don't really like to put myself in any category because, like I said, when you're making art, each time you make an art piece, you're experimenting. You don't really know how it's gonna come out. You know what you want to relay, and the finished product just takes its own shape. And like I say, everybody receives whatever they receive from it. But I don't even think anybody would even look at that and take, because really her actual style of art is all silhouette. She don't do nothing detailed, it's just all silhouette. But me paying homage to and connecting that he was inspired by her because she had the cotton reef. She actually made a post with the cotton reef as a joke. She said Merry Christmas. Instead of her actually having a reef, she had the reef of cotton. So he was inspired by it. He bought one off of Amazon and put it in his apartment. He just moved, and that was the only thing he had in his apartment. So by him coming in his apartment, seeing that reef, it sparked him to create $1 million brand by having a reef all over a T-shirt, and we see it everywhere. It took fire quick. So I think also, you know, speaking to that is how connected we are in spirit as creators. Also, being able to be inspired by each other in that way. But that's kind of my approach. Is like, you know, if they say something, let's talk about it. You know what I mean? If somebody identify it, you know, let's talk about it. You know, but I like to experiment. That's me. I like to take everything I'm exposed to, from traveling, from my liking in literature, from maybe I may see a photographer do something cool, you know? I like to pull from it and it just show up in who I am, you know? I think that's what's part of me, is what I consume and take in. And it comes out in that spirit of my art.
Come on. Shout out to amazing questions, though. Let's go. Well, we hear anybody else? Well, in that spirit, in conclusion and coming together, I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of 33G, on behalf of the gallery, on behalf of everyone that is our tribe, our community, on behalf of yourself, right, for choosing to put the kind of time and intention that it takes to create something like this. And we just appreciate you. We give you your flowers.
I appreciate it.
We'll give you some cotton. We'll give you a cotton reed, a cotton bouquet. But just thank you so much. This is our brother Courtney Haywood, the Runway Slaves. exhibition, a solo exhibition of art by Yards. Today is November 1st, 11/1, an interesting day to many people. The show will be up until November 21st, 2024, here at 33 Gallery, 33G, in the historic west side of Las Vegas, Nevada. We appreciate all of you for being here for the Artist Talk, and all of those that looked at us on live. We appreciate you. We try and do things, and we gonna vibe for the rest of the night. But any last words, our brother? Do you want to, share anything?
I just want to say, we all possess that creative spirit, and it may come out in any way. Oak is a great journalist. You're a great artist yourself. I love everything you create, and everybody else. That I feel like if you sit with yourself and you dive deep into, just paying attention to what's that thing in you, you're able to, all of those things connect to, the liberation of a people, being able to use that and take that talent to contribute to that brick, like you speak about, that brick to building something great that we can all benefit from and we can all be inspired by. And just allowing it to, allowing us to flourish, because we need it, and I feel like only together we can actually create those avenues that can educate, our next generation, that could empower our next generation, teach our next generation a different way than what we learned and what we call our survival, what we've been exposed to. I feel like it's up to us to give them options, to give them guidance into a new world where we're more, and we understand that, we recognize that, a lot of times we see people with talent and kids with talent, and we downplay it. We don't really give it the nurturing that we should, and everybody ain't just football players or these things that we stereotypical push these kids into doing. You got people who playing basketball that they're really, these kids' dreams really is to, do something else, be a scientist, farmer or whatever, and it's up to us to be intentional and let them know, like, whatever you do, you can make it cool, Don't let me tell you what's cool and what's not cool. It's up to you to take what you do and inspire the world and your people. So, and that's basically what I want to leave everybody with in this moment.
That's a beautiful last word, my brother. Thank you, family. Thank you, everybody. That's the Runway Slaves Artist Talk at 33G. Tap in with us. Peace.